Well, we're trying to do what's possibly brilliant or possibly crazy. We're trying to stop child abuse and create a free, evidence-based child abuse prevention program for the developing world.
And then nomntana ungamshawuti uthethele soft nomntana ezantsi xa unomsindo ulumkise nabantwana into zibungozi qona into ezifana drugs abantwaneni nasekuhlaleni nabanye abantwana bazama bavulumkisa.
Children who have been abused are more likely to engage in sexual risk behaviours, which of course put them at risk for sexually transmitted infections, including HIV, for teen pregnancies and so on. They're also more likely to engage in alcohol and other drug use, partly to medicate their symptoms of anxiety and depression. And so we get a whole nexus of ills that really prevent children from succeeding in life.
We started off this programme working with the World Health Organization and UNICEF and the South African government, and found these parenting programmes could really work, but that no one had tested them in these kinds of contexts.
We have to have a randomised trial where we randomly assign some parents to get the parenting programme and some to be a control group who get nothing. So when we compare them at the end, we can be sure that if there is any difference observed, it was the programme that made the difference.
The researchers are in a way observing the intervention to test whether it works. Once that research has been completed, there will be a sufficient evidence base for the scale up of the intervention, the programme, in South Africa. So we have all our research assistants who are local people, mostly from the township or the villages around, and they receive a lot of training on how to talk to people about very difficult issues.
Our most basic first session is about praise, and families learn to praise each other every day for something. And what happens with that is you build up a kind of positive base, and on top of that positive base you can start talking about the more difficult issues. But these things are hard to talk about. They're hard to talk about for us, and they're harder to talk about in rural and traditional communities.
In this context, it's not really possible to have a qualified professional like a psychologist or a social worker delivering a program because there are too few of us to go around.
I went to Cape Town for a training on how to facilitate the program. And then after that, then we collaborated to start Sinovo Your Team.
I'm always impressed by how our facilitators, who really had no experience with this before we trained them, are doing a completely fabulous job in working with parents and really turning things around. And so we have wonderful reports of parents and children saying how much more they enjoy each other than they used to, and how much easier home life is becoming.
South Africa is a phenomenal country to work in. It's one of the leading in policy for the SADC countries, and so influencing policy in South Africa is going to influence policy in most of Southern Africa.
As a psychologist, this is a contribution I can make to nation building in South Africa, and that's a huge motivation for me.
Well, some people believe that because it's Africa, you don't need to have the best quality science, but we believe that families here deserve the best.